I learned the hard way that during a show I had to put airplane mode on
Oh,
because we were like just dancing around it, and it's like a party set, like we're dancing and we're jumping shit and we're trying to do this thing, and then it just stopped, and because I got a call, so it was like the PA.
Hey guys, welcome to the Tour Stories podcast. Today, Josh and I are going to do the intro as we have invaded Ty's studio room.
Yeah, we're in here in sunny California. We love it here. Just kidding.
No.
We it's okay.
Yeah, it's great. Ty loves it out here, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, the smog and
Pollution.
traffic. It's rough. It's rough for us country boys.
Yeah. Good old Southern Illinois and Pennsylvania boy.
Yeah,
So.
but we're here to talk with our friend Pina. He is from Mexico.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He's got a lot of insight on how to tour through Mexico and just some wild stories that he's been through. So without further ado, here's the episode.
Pina, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. How are you guys doing? I got the combo, the full combo.
All three of us staring at you like a family counseling session. This is great. All right. I'm not even going to intro every project that you have because you have taken over the Mexican music scene in basically every genre you can possibly come up with. So I need the rundown for our listeners, everything that you're a part of right now, because it is insane.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you very much. That's a great intro. I'm super perfect here. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm currently officially doing 3 projects right now. The one that takes most of my time, it's called Los Chotguns. It's like a hip hop alternative or not. It's on the punkier side, if you want to see it that way, of hip hop. And we'll have a YouTube channel connected to it. We upload 2 videos a week. We talk about music. I mean, we have a podcast on Fridays. On Tuesdays, we have, it's just me talking about my experience, like in music and growing up, changing the way I think and that kind of stuff, like more of a YouTuber thing. And that's the same universe as a hip hop band. And then I also play in a pop punk band called Say Ocean. Right there. And we're currently working on an album. It's full pop punk. Like we grew up idolizing the pop punk scene here in Mexico. There's a great Mexican scene, but we also grew up listening mostly American bands. And then we're working on a record right now. We just played a huge festival like 5 minutes before we went into quarantine, and we were about to announce, like a tour, across the country. We're from Guadalajara. We live in Mexico City, and we were gonna tour pretty much every state in Mexico. That didn't happen, but we got to work on a new album, and we just released our the first single of our second album. It's our sophomore album. It's called No Estoy Roto, I'm Not Broken, and it's been a huge response from the people. We're very excited, and we're currently working on the second single. We have 11 songs already, recorded, mixed, and masters ready to go. So we're just now displaying the full album across the year. I mean, and I'm aiming for probably an autumn full release of the album. But, management is crazy. Like, no, let's hold it until we can play shows, motherfuckers. I mean, you have to play the show. So we're like, okay, cool. Let's wait it out. I mean, let us work on the singles. And we have 11 songs. I mean, if at the end of the day, we have to release 11 singles instead of, a full album, we're cool with it. I mean, it's under the same universe. We already have a name for it. It's really cool. And the third project I do, it's just like a solo thing. You can call it that. It's on the spoken word, like it's a little bit of screamo part, but mostly spoken word. I mean, I really, really like hotel books, and it was like my first approachment to
Spanish.
yeah, a lot of people are saying it, and I take it as a huge compliment. Like, man, I really, really think Cam is a talented dude, and I really like his writing. I mostly like his deliver, like his approach, because it's like super emo, full emo, but he's actually not like singing, and he was like doing the spoken word thing, and I was doing the hip hop thing and the pop punk thing, and I was like, okay, I mean, what, fuck it, I mean, let's give it a shot. So I recorded a 5-song EP with Sebas Ortega, a great friend of mine from Guadalajara. We did everything in Guadalajara. We recorded 5 songs. I just released like 3 weeks ago the second single of the EP, and that one is called Como si al cielo le importara, which means the literal transition will be as if the heavens cared.
So, okay. So already a couple questions before we go any further. I know you have management assistants, but are you fully independent on the record label side of things?
Yeah, we do everything ourselves. I mean, the first album with Say Ocean, we were signed to an independent, like super tiny label. But they help us out a ton. I mean, they teached us the like fucking how the business worked, and then I mean they got super busy with their side projects and like they have real lives and stuff. So they were really kind, and they were like, okay, I mean, are you ready to do it yourselves? And we're like, yeah, I mean, let's give it a shot. And we ended up recording with a super big producer our next album. So I mean, things are looking up.
My bad. I'm sorry. You're good. I'm already stepping on toes. Not used to having them right here. Is there like a separate record label world in Mexico when it comes to your genres? Like, are there like household names for record labels in the pop punk world or in the hip hop world that are like strictly out of Mexico?
Not at all, man. I mean, we grew up like seeing, like Filled by Ramen. I don't know, like Fearless, Hopeless, Pure Noise, all that. Even, like we were Triumphant or something like that, the one with the elephant. And we grew up listening to that, and we knew it existed in America, but no, here in Mexico, the only one that was, I don't know, like the biggest pop punk emo band in Mexico was Panda. And they broke up a couple of years ago. They were signed to Movic Records. And that Mavic, like Mavic, Movic Records, and they were really big. I mean, they signed like Inside, obviously Panda. They they have a huge Mexican pop, only pop project. They're huge, and they're called Los Claxons, and they're super cool. And that's pretty much it, man. I mean. A couple of bands made it big in the early 2000s, but they were all, like on Sony, which is, like, it's not a like pop punk label, Sony. And I remember Universal, Warner, but they were majors. I mean, there's not like an intermedium.
Right. So that's a whole different world at that point.
Yeah.
I just find it. I was so interested in you right off the bat, just because like your career path and how you've been able to branch off into all these different genres. You have the YouTube channel that took off. Just you as a personality is a very popular thing on social media, and I'm so like I'm always shocked at like the story of how you ended up with all these different lanes. Like I know for you, we talked about this before. It was you started out with a YouTube channel, right? Like it was like the YouTube first before the music. And then it just kind of rolled from there. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Were you doing like music content on the channel, or were you just that guy that just like happened to be talented, or was it like the fans who were just like, hey, we want like music from you? Like how did that happen?
We started making music for the channel as jokes, like we did parodies from Mexican songs, and but like it wasn't like a weekly thing or anything. I mean, we were straight constant with blogging. I mean, like talking about our lives, or like bringing kids. Like today I'm gonna go get my driver's license, and you get the GoPro and you go through that shit, right? And I was like 21 when we started out. It's me and the other guy from Los Chotgun. His name is Netzahualcoyotl. I swear to God,
for us guys who have no idea what that meant.
Yeah, I mean, Los Chotgun is two people. It's me and my best friend. His name is a super Mexican, a heavily Mexican name, and it's pronounced Netzahualcoyotl.
Go ahead and try to say that. Go ahead. I'm out.
Oh, wait. Wait, say it one more time, and my terrible voice is going to attempt this.
Yeah, let me spell it to you, King.
Yeah.
Yeah, so spell it in the chat. I'm going to say it out loud.
Look at that. That one's only one word.
All right. Every single fan of you is going to hate me right now.
They understand.
Netzahualcoyotl. Netzahualcoyotl.
Oh my God, that was phonetically perfect, but it's not the way for it.
So fast. Phonetically,
Okay,
but that was terrible.
let me try to do it phonetically. Za,
That's
and then it's like
Roto.
it's what cool.
This is amazing.
And then I mean it's like a Mexican thing. The TL at the end, like the early people that live here originally, and they were nets. Everything ended with TL.
Loto. Where does
Nets.
Nets from the
Yeah. He goes by Netza.
Oh, perfect. Netza, perfect.
Yeah, that's a standard.
We have that issue within our band because none of us have cool, catchy names at all. Mine is simple. Everybody can say Ty, but nobody can spell it. Nobody can spell or say his first name. Everybody can say Josh, but his last name is so Central European, it's ridiculous. we made this. We from the beginning it should have just been like CJ, Ty, Josh, and then that's it. But
Dude, that's like boy band characters right there.
exactly. JJ, CJ, and Max.
Oh my God.
We're gonna rebrand this.
You'll be blowing up.
So wait, hey, that might have solved the problem. I always bring up something where like, hey, why does Sinkin suck, and what do you do better that like whoever we're interviewing? And the answer is just simply we just have the wrong names. We've decided.
That can be it. I mean, because musically, I mean, you're killing it. I find you guys on Spotify, and that's how we connected. I mean, I was listening to music on Spotify. Then this song of yours, "Drive," you wanna just, and I was like, "Fuck, man, this is so cool!" And it sounded like really, I don't know, like modern. And it's like, okay, so yeah, I mean, this is kind of pop punk, but it's kind of essence. So I was very intrigued. And I'm cool. I'm really glad we connected.
It just makes me blush every single time. And then we talk about how we're going to play shows together, but the world still hasn't opened up.
Yeah.
And here we are. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about playing shows. What it's like for you guys where you're at right now in your career. Obviously, you're starting to play some really big festivals all around the country, and like I want to know what it was like for you guys right before the pandemic shut down. Like, did it start to get big enough where it started to feel weird? Like, oh, this is really different now. Like we're taking the next step up. Were you starting to notice that, or did it just kind of like end too fast?
It might have ended too fast, but definitely was like this rush. Like we had like everything we did gained like momentum, and it was hyped, and we like. We were super into it. I mean, we're like, okay, cool. Things are, like looking up. Let's start working our asses up. I mean, this is when we're gonna ride this wave. So, I mean, it was super cool. Like getting to play festivals along, like some of our favorite bands. I mean, we played the, like 2 p.m. slots, but I mean, our fan base actually gathered, and that actually made us look super cool, like with promoters and shit. It's like, who the fuck are these kids again? And then bam, and we have 1,000 kids like wearing our merch and shit, and everyone at the festival was like, oh man, like they don't even know what's happening, but they want more. So we were starting to, like getting like bigger festivals, and we get to work with some of our favorite people, people we grew up idolizing. I mean, Eric Canales, he's the lead singer from a really popular band in the pop punk, like in general. They're actually Mexican pop culture staple. They're called Allison. And the lead singer produced our first record. So like a lot of that shit was started happening, like what's happening, and we got like super into just working and touring and getting new merch and getting new music out there. So everything started like changing, and we toured so constantly that we were able to play like probably, well, Mexico's touring circuit is not as big as you guys is. I mean, we probably have like a full across the country tour. You get to play probably around 35 shows, which are amazing. But I see you guys, I've seen bands that play like 58, 60 shows like in the same tour, right? Right. How many of them can you do like in a full cross? Like there's weak markets obviously, but the ones that are actually worth, like you can go and you don't break your pockets.
Yeah, it depends on how crazy you are, how much time you want to spend out in the Midwest. There's a, it really depends band to band. We're in one of those weird spots in our career where obviously we're, not a very big band at all, but we have a couple of those cities that we always do well in. And
yeah, it's awesome.
But like the way the US markets work is that you could do very well in a market and drive an hour to the next city and absolutely nobody knows who you are. Like there's such isolated markets and isolated demographics that it is a bit of an emotional killer when you're like, man, 150 people showed up tonight. Like we might actually be doing something. And the next night there's 5, but
yeah,
you only drove 45 minutes. But that's
what we do now. It's we already know those kind of cities, so we do the 5 people on Friday and the 150 people on Saturday, and that way it's like, oh holy shit, we just played like in a hole yesterday, and today like a bunch of people showed up, and then you go back to your house smiling.
Tell me about said holes in Mexico. What's playing the tiny venues in Mexico like? Was first start in your projects?
Well, it's I've seen a couple, especially with Los Chotguns. Los Chotguns, we were crazy when we were started. When we were starting out, I mean, we played every fucking show they wanted us in. Or I was just sending emails. Like what I would do is I just looked like every single band that played like, I don't know, let's say a really hard city or a really hard state to go to play for us. It was Durango. It's a big ass state, but it's like a desert, and nobody like, there's not a very like punk or I don't know, even hip hop scene. Maybe I'm wrong, and some people are gonna come in, fuck you forget about this guy and this guy, but I don't know. But to my eyes, they don't have like a strong music scene. But we will get a lot of comments like on our videos or like on Instagram, like, okay, hey, when are you guys playing Durango? And we watched like the flyers, and we announced the flyer for the tour, and people were like upset, why are you guys not coming? So what I did is I just like found a band from Durango, and then I got into their Facebook, and then I clicked on the last event they played in their music like scene. So I was like, okay, Durango, Bar La Llorona. So I was like, okay, let's contact them. Hey, Bar La Llorona, we're Los Chotgun. We want to play a show. I mean, we were when we were just starting. We were doing tours. Like me, Netza, and I would play. Like the beats from my iPhone. Like it would be connected to the PA, and we were just like rapping it like on top of our beds. No DJ, no drummer. That's the way we do it now with a DJ and a drummer. But I mean, back in the day, it was just like us and my iPod. So all we need to get was, like some, like bus tickets for 2 people. And then we would eat anything. We would crash any place. So it would be cheap for the Bar La Llorona to bring us. And then we went and played, and it was an awesome show. And we didn't spend that much money. And then we came back and I found out, like, okay, so people actually give a shit in here. But fuck, I went another way. The question was about the holes, right? So
I didn't say it, you did. Yeah, I mean, that's what this whole podcast is about. Is that we just like we just had this conversation today. Josh just said earlier, like, isn't it strange how like band guys in general, just how weird we end up being after living their kind of life, like the DIY touring lifestyle. Just like the amount of things that you find acceptable that nobody else would find acceptable.
No.
These guys just shared an inflatable mattress in my little studio setup last night, and it was cold, and they were just all nice and cozy and keeping each other warm. And like, just
You do it.
That's it.
woke up.
Yeah.
Somebody else at 30 would be comfortable with this, and we
Dude, it just happened to me like a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago, actually. I went with my friends, my high school friends. They're like brothers and sisters to me. And we plan like a trip each year. So like we do a posada. It's called in Mexico like the holiday parties. So 2 years ago, we ended up going to Big Bear, like getting to the snowboard thing. Not that I did. I mean, I just fell I just fell through the mountain on my ass like 100 times, but it was fun. We went to Big Bear, and then next night we went to Disneyland. So we got to travel, and I was driving the van, and they were like, dude, I mean, you didn't have a car in high school. What the fuck is like, and I'm driving everyone, and I'm doing the tour logistics. Like, dude, we're going to stop, and then we're going to pee on this, on this gas station. Everyone's going to get a muffin because we're not going to stop to eat or anything. I'm just going to drive, and no one's going to say anything. And then we got to it, and they were all like, dude, what the fuck? I mean, why can't this be a road trip? I mean, what the fuck is this music you're playing? So they were like all that. And then we got, because they're like normal people with regular jobs. So we got to the Airbnb where we're going to stay in Anaheim, and everyone fucking freaked out. Like, ah! The girls were like, oh my God, this is a shithole. Never in my life I'm going to stay. So I was like outside, getting the luggage and shit. And so I was like, fuck, man. I mean, it must be pretty bad. And then I entered it. It was like, dude, man, this is like a headliner Airbnb, dude. I mean, you get a bed. I mean, the fucking TV works. There's Wi-Fi. I don't know what the hell you guys are complaining about.
Okay, so for you guys, are there people that hit you up from high school, like after years gone by, and they realize what you're doing, and they hit you up with just like the most like nonsensical chats, just like, hey man, heard you're like a rock star now, like you like doing it big, like do you own a place in LA? Like, have you experienced that? Because for me, it's either one or the other. Like anybody who hits me up from high school, it's either like, oh man, he got like a famous music career, or else like, hey, you're still like a dirtbag in a punk band. Like it's one or the other. Nobody has an actual realistic view of what we do.
Or you get that occasional person that's like, oh man, I haven't seen you since high school. Like, what do you do? And they just have like no concept of that you travel or do any of that stuff.
So you play like the bar down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Like you open up at the Pen every night from like 8 to 11.
Right. You start explaining it like, oh yeah, I'm a musician. They're like, man, I bet you probably like you probably like, I don't know, played that club down the street, right?
Yeah. Everybody's backyard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are there any music venues at all in the middle of nowhere, Centralia, Illinois?
Yeah, there's like one, maybe, or two.
Is it your garage?
You should open a venue in your garage.
I've considered it. What? Okay, so like,
We played a couple of garages. Yeah. The cool shows.
so
You
especially,
still get to sell T-shirts.
especially for you, like, did people hit you up once you started getting traction on YouTube? Like, what is happening with this dude I was in math class with?
Yeah, not a lot of people understand it. I recently, I graduated high school in 2009. So 2019, we had like a 10-year reunion shit. And I went and, like people were like, a lot of people were, like married and had kids and that kind of like super normal jobs. And I wasn't, like a popular kid in high school. I mean, I didn't get in trouble. I mean, I wasn't bullied or anything. I mean, I was just, like, okay, so you're playing guitar. Yeah, I guess. And you're screaming and you're like a little emo, but you also like, I like to, I like to party enough to meet people, right? So like nobody had like this sense of what the hell this kid is doing, because everyone was like living in Guadalajara, which is my hometown, which is a really big city. But once I get to Mexico City, I was like, man, we live in a small town. Like this shit is like, it changes your mindset. So I went back to Guadalajara to the reunion, and everyone was amazed. Like, dude, I mean, like, it's the same band that you played in high school? And like, no. I mean, like, 4 of them failed miserably, but then a couple of them got it right. So, like, I'm not, the main question, it was like probably not that polarizing about, like, oh man, you're killing it, or you're like, oh, so you're just a kid, right? It was more like, yeah, I had a couple of, I have one cool story from that. I had a crush on this girl, like nothing serious. I mean, I really liked that one. We weren't friends. We never anything, right? And on high school, I just met her once, and that's it. And I was just in the back of my mind constantly thinking, oh, one day I'm gonna muster up the guts, and then I'm gonna tell her. And then never happened, and then everything went separate ways, and then she got married. And then on the high school reunion, she went with me, and she was like, man, I saw you're a musician. Oh my God. And then she wanted to take a picture with me, and she took a picture of me and put it, like in the Instagram story. And I was like, man, like things actually turned all right.
See, we can't relate. We're not big enough yet. So, okay. So what's the status of the music world and the touring world right now in Mexico? Like, is there light at the end of the tunnel in terms of shows happening soon, or where are you guys at in regards to COVID and live music?
It's probably at the end of the tunnel. I'm really optimistic saying this, but I think probably we might get to squeeze in a show, probably only one, like let's say December show, like live show. But right now, things are like they're currently moving a really big virtual festival. It's called Tecate Pal Norte, and a lot of big bands are playing, and it's like the biggest, like internet festival that's happened here in Mexico, but it's nothing like there's no live anything. There's a couple of auto shows that really big bands get to do, because you need to actually have a draw if you're, like have to rent, like a full amphitheater and shit. I mean, 1,000 cars, it's like 5,000 people, man. Like you can just go and do that in Durango. But a couple of really big bands are doing, here and there.
Is your long-term goal to have each of your projects individually open up for one another? So
I would really love to. Yeah. Like I have like this plan in my mind that I constantly tell the guys. Like both, everyone's really good friends with everyone. So we live together, like not right now. When we first moved to the city, Los Chotguns and Say Ocean, we shared an apartment, like 5 people, 4 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Shit got nasty. but it was the first couple of years we lived in here, 2 years. And then we got an invitation to play South by Southwest. We didn't do it because we didn't have the money to go, but we're going to do it sometime soon. Like once it opens up, I just told the guys, man, it would be awesome if like for that one tour, like let's fucking do it South by Southwest. And we're from Mexico. We live in Mexico City, so we get to tour like up. I don't know, probably can squeeze like 10 shows on the way up. And then we play South by Southwest, and then we go back on the same tour, like different side of the city of the country, so we can do another probably 10 shows, and we do a full tour, and that's the way we can probably get the money to go to South by Southwest, right? So everyone's like, yeah, we should make it happen one day, but I'm really pushing for it once South by Southwest becomes available once again. And if they're so kind to have us, right? I'm just speaking like a plan. It will be it's a cool fantasy.
It's already done. They have 4,000 bands that weekend. They'll have you. We'll figure it out. We'll make the call. Like we
Have you ever guys done any like festivals or that kind of big shows?
Yeah, we've had the opportunity to play some pretty awesome festivals. I think that was actually the most frustrating thing for us in terms of the timing of the COVID pandemic is that last summer we were scheduled to play some of the biggest festivals we'd ever played as a band. And I mean, everything fell apart so fast. I mean, when everything shut down, we were on tour. So
man.
I mean, it was like the situation was literally on the phone in the parking lot of the venue we're playing that night in New Mexico and making a decision of like, hey, how serious is this whole like virus thing? You know, like we were on tour, so it's not that we're not aware of what's going on, but you're just so busy when you're on the road as a DIY band that you don't necessarily know the extent of or like the seriousness of national news.
And that's another thing of what you guys mentioned about the lifestyle of the DIY, that you're so off the grid that you're not even paying attention to kind of important shit, actually. Yeah. And most of your friends are like, dude, what the hell? I mean, can't you see the world's falling apart? And it's like, oh, dude, like I was worried about, getting to the next city, man. I can't be on Twitter all day.
Right. I think, if I remember correctly, we made the decision once the NBA, because that day the NBA started canceling games. Mm-hmm. It was the whole like, what's his name? Rudy Gay, like touching the microphone thing. Yeah, it happened that afternoon, and I was watching it in the parking lot in the van. Like, oh, this might be something serious. Like if the NBA is not playing games, like we might need to really address this. And we drove home to Los Angeles that night. But wow. Anyway, like, so obviously we lost the whole summer, and we kind of had our entire business plan based upon the jump start of these big festivals building us through the year. And that didn't happen. So the business plan had to change. And that's why.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, a lot of bands just stopped. And then that's like we were saying here at the house, like the pandemic, considering it ends like somewhere this year or next year, probably. If it goes longer, I don't know if I'm going to be able to mentally take it, right? But we were just talking that this period has been like a real thing that has been separating boys from men in terms of driving force and how bad they want it that you're still actually devoting your life to your music. And a lot of bands that actually were doing kind of good and were like on the verge of making things happen, a lot of them just stopped because like they're like, oh fuck this, okay man, I can play, I'm not making any money probably, so I'm just gonna go and find a different job till this ends, right? But I mean, there are other bands that are actually just like looking for different ways to make things happen. And I think that the universe is going to reward that. I'm counting on it.
That's great. So we gotta get some good actual disaster stories from you then.
Yeah.
Tell us about what are the things that can go wrong when you're touring in Mexico?
Oh, a lot of things. Like especially the one thing we get most scared of is I don't want to make it like a bad name for Mexico because this is not like all places, but there are definitely a couple cities where you're kind of worried about like narcos, and you cannot drive like night drives. They're canceled like in a couple states. Like you can do it, but it's up to you. And
really make a bunch of your fans mad when you call out their cities. I'm ready for it. I'm here.
Yeah. No, it's just not calling them their cities. It's just it's like the north, not specific cities, because that hasn't happened to us. We've been lucky enough, and we're careful. I mean, those are a couple of states that you're not able to drive at night. You can do it, but you can face the consequences of doing it, right? So that's one really hard thing that I don't know if it happens in other countries, but that one in here happens. I think cops are always a problem. I mean, like if the military will stop you like for a randomly selected, like, yeah, dude, I mean, there's 12 tattooed guys in shorts in a van, and you're randomly selecting us for a routine revision. Come on, man. And they're expecting to find drugs every time, and we're very careful with that. We do not. so it's like every time I'm on my nerves, like, just thinking, fuck. I mean, it's like, are they gonna plant anything on us? Are they gonna want money? Because that's something that actually happens a lot. So that it's really hard, those kind of things. But there's not like extreme weather conditions.
Oh, we have
like,
that.
Yeah.
Well, and even back to our original tour van that was literally just like multicolored and like falling apart. There were holes and stuff. If it was the right time of night in the right spot, we would get pulled over just for kind of a checkup.
Yeah.
There was like 2 a.m. through a small town outside of Chicago. I know we got pulled over one time, and they were just kind of making sure we were normal.
Yeah, just looking sketchy in a black van.
Yeah,
I think really the only time that I was nervous with like a police incident on tour was in Southern Kentucky. We had a day off, and I got a drone. Just like a filming drone,
Cool.
And we were staying at this house. I just decided to just test it. I'm just practicing, working on flying. Hopefully, I can get good enough at this that we can create some content and it'd be all good. I lost connection to the drone, and it fell into the middle of a farm. In the middle of southern Kentucky. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna see if I can try and find it. It leaves like a little like GPS pin.
Yeah, well, and can it take a fall? Like, I've always been curious.
Well,
like, or it was just mashed.
Oh no, it took the fall. It was all good.
Fuck, man.
I just needed to like get close enough to reconnect with it. But so in order to try and find it, I'm driving our van and trailer around this town of like 12 people. Just trying to get like what road I can get that's close enough to the center of this huge cornfield that I know it's in to try and walk and get it. I finally just drove right up this little like dirt path in the middle of this field. I mean, I'm like a good mile now, like beyond the house.
Wow.
So I parked it as far as I could. So the van and trailer is sitting in the middle of this cornfield in Kentucky. And I walk down over the hill and I find it all good. I'm walking back up, and there's now a sheriff, like a good old fashioned Midwest sheriff, like a cowboy hat on and like the tan everything and the sheriff star, like ready to go.
X-Files, sure.
He is parked in the middle of the field right beside the van, and he's got the hand on the holster. And he's just pointing me, like literally, like the thumb up and the finger out, Western movie style. I'm like, all right,
man, like literally doing it with his hand.
literally, he's like, you doing this, you this. So
Didn't know you're in trouble.
no, yeah. I'm walking up and I got the drone in my hands, and he's yelling, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm sorry. Hang on, I can explain." And he kept saying, "What's in the bag?" And I didn't know what that meant. I'm just holding the drone. I'm like, "Sir, I don't have a bag." Tell me what's in the bag right now. I set the drone down in the passenger seat of the van, and I walk up like this. It's like, "I need you to return and get the bag right now." Like, I don't have a bag. He's getting angsty. I'm like, I had a drone. He doesn't know what a drone is in this.
Yeah.
No idea.
Dude, I mean, if you started flying, he would freak out.
Yeah. So I'm literally, and so in my head, I'm going, I mean, if anything happens here, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Like, there's 15 people in this town. I guarantee every single one of them is going to side with the sheriff, as opposed to the weird dude from Pennsylvania at the time that was like roaming around somebody's cornfield on a Monday afternoon. So I go and I get the drone, and I'm literally walking up to him like this, drone in one hand, in the other. He grabs it out of my hand, and he's like literally looking at it. And I wish I was recording, because the camera was still on in order for me to have the GPS. You have no idea how badly I wish I could just see this sheriff just looking at the drone, just like staring at it, just figuring out what it is, and then letting me go. I was like, "I'm sorry, we're at what I think I said we're playing at the church down the street." It's like,
Oh man.
church down there, and it's all good. He eventually let me go, but I was panicking.
Fuck, man. But yeah, man, the fact that you're in the middle of nowhere and he's already pointing you with a gun made of flesh, and he has a real gun.
Anytime somebody points at you with the thumb up, you know it's trouble.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah, I mean, you fucked up. You went to a different path. You went to a wrong part of town.
Turns out the reason why he saw me is because nobody was home at the farm where I was at, except for like an 80-year-old lady who was watching me out the window, and she didn't call the police. She like called a son, who called an uncle, who called the aunt, who called the cousin, who is the sheriff.
Fuck, man, some small town shit.
Yeah, a real small town. Like, at this point, everybody knows what's going on, and they know.
You were probably on the newspaper the next day. You don't know.
The newspaper that comes out once a month out there for five.
It's not even a newspaper that points a newsletter.
It's a carrier pigeon just dropping off a piece of paper with the Daily News.
Yeah, like the sheriff, like kills guy from the future. I know.
Oh man. Okay, so when it comes to your hip hop music, was there ever any disasters where just like, because you have to rely on a good sound system, you have to rely on just cables, like there's no natural tones, it could go really, really wrong at the early level. Was there ever a time where you were just like, "Oh, I'm doing this a cappella now"?
Fuck, a lot of times. Not a lot of times, but probably, like 3 or 4 that on the early shows, I mean, it was just like that. I mean, I learned the hard way that during a show I had to put airplane mode on.
Oh,
because we were like just dancing around it, and it's like a party set, like we're dancing and we're jumping shit and we're trying to do this thing, and then it just stopped, and because I got a call. So it was like on the PA. I mean, it was a small show, probably like 20 people or something. The first time it happened, and we're like freaking out, like, dude, what the fuck? And we're still rapping like over the iPhone ringtone. And we're, que los quieren parar, que lejos salen. So we, like we weren't sure, and then the call stopped. So we just did it a cappella, like, okay, ha ha ha. We kind of left it up, and everyone was like, oh. People loved it. I mean, they really like. Not all people, but like when you're in a show that's kind of small, you can do like a little community and you say hi to everyone, and everyone's kind of rooting for you to have a good show. They know you've traveled, and so people are kind of rooting for you. They start cheering, they love it, and they love that. Even if it was something that went wrong, it's something that doesn't happen that often, so they feel like they're watching a special show. And they're kind of are because they got like half song with a beat and then half song a cappella, and they didn't mind like the couple of times it happened, but not because of a call, like sometimes I will, like my cell phone will just fall out and disconnect and shit. So like every time we kind of left it off and we're like, we're trying our best. This is what we're doing. And so, people have been gentle with it, but it has definitely happened. So it was most, like our musician side became more serious as we went on, like making a living out of it. And so we were like, dude, we actually really need to deliver quality. I mean, we cannot be doing this shit if we're charging a ticket. So it became more elaborate, and then the drummer came along, the DJ and everything. It's a lot more organic in a way. I mean, bigger shows and festivals, we get to play with real musicians, like guitar players, and we don't play that shit because it's, like rapping and playing the guitar would be, I don't know, like I don't know if my brain is wired that way. But we get to have, like this cool ass bassist and this great guitarist, some key player, a sax guy. So that's on real big shows. But usually we do, like the drummer and the DJ and me and Netza, and it has been working out it's been like 2 years with this lineup.
Now that you guys are a little more established, how often do you get that fan that comes up and they're like, hey, your guys' set was really good, but you guys didn't play the ringtone song? Like, you like or remember certain songs from the early days that maybe aren't quite the same.
It happens a lot, especially because all of the joke songs that are on our YouTube channel, fuck, man. I mean, we're like 20 and we were recording with just like a little mic, and I don't know. We were experimenting, we were learning. So a lot of those early songs, fans are actually requesting it. There's one that's a super famous Latin song called Yo No Sé Mañana. And it's like, Yo no sé mañana si estaremos juntos, si se acaba el mundo. It's something like that. And it's like a salsa bit. And that's once he called me and he was like, dude, I recorded a parody of Yo No Sé Mañana. It's called Ya No Hay Caguamas. Ya No Hay Caguamas, which means we ran out of 40 ounces. They're called 40 ounces, right? Like the big ass. Yeah. We ran out of 40 ounces. It's Ya No Hay Caguamas. And it's there. And that song we couldn't shake it. Like for the first couple of tours, we actually played it live. I mean, we actually, it was so like, people are like, dude, I came for your show because I know you make music because of that one song, and you're not gonna play it. And we're like, oh my god, okay, so there's only a couple of people in here, let's do it. Okay, plug in. And Netza had the instrumental, but it's not even the instrumental or the beat, it's just like the karaoke version, and that's it. And he recorded like over it. And he's dressed like like a salsa guy. It's like, I take a kick out of it. But we couldn't shake that song for a couple of years. We actually played it, and we actually did like a live version. But yeah, that kind of stuff happens, and that's what we get for like doing the YouTuber shit. I mean, it's part of that. It's part of that identity that we have, and like you're still with it. Most people are actually nice about it. Like, oh, are you not gonna play Ya No Hay Caguamas? Or there's another one called Al 220, which is a song we did with a couple of friends, and it's super fun song to do. But we lost, like the beat because it was like a generic beat from YouTube and shit. So we don't play that anymore, and people were like, okay, cool. When are you going to play that song? And we're like, oh, we're actually never going to do it. They're like, oh, man. But like they're usually nice about it.
Right. All right. So I guess the last question then would be, when can we get you guys up in the States? I told you this before, but I want to do it. I want to see what you guys can do. Like we gotta like bring you up to like Texas. Well, you were talking about South by Southwest, but like
Yeah, exactly. We can do something like that. The problem is, I don't know if we're allowed to, like DIY touring without, like work visas.
yeah.
But we can do it, like what we can do is a lot of bands, actually. We shouldn't be talking about this, but I know there's a lot of bands that actually just, like go over to states, no instruments, like fucking Hawaiian shirts, like, hey, look at us on vacation. We're just here for the ride. And then, like they play with borrowed shit down there. So that way they, like don't have to get one of those visas, but we can definitely work something out. I mean, if we get to do the, once it opens up, if we get to do the South by Southwest, definitely do a run in Houston, or even better, we can probably do like Tijuana, which you guys are super close, and we can do the thing that we play LA and you guys play Tijuana. We do a whole tour out of it. We make maybe squeeze a couple series. There's 4 cities out there that you can play. One's in Ensenada, Mexicali, Tijuana, and the other one is in Sonora, which is a different state than Baja California, but it's called San Luis Rio Colorado. You do a 4 little circuit, and we can do that, and then do another 4 the next weekend up there in California. That would be super cool.
I'm in, but they're going to be waiting for you at the border with a clip from this podcast.
Yeah. They're going to be so, like Tighe Gonzalez.
We saw a podcast watched by 8 people.
Yeah, exactly. Turns out my son's one of them.
Well, dude, thank you so much for jumping on this podcast with us. This has been a lot of fun. Can you please give us a rundown of all the places where the people can find you all over social media?
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, social media is Tighe Express. It's mine because there's no ñ in English. So it's Tighe Express with double S. @ Los Chotgun, at Say Ocean Band. Los Chotgun is, I don't know if you can see it, like Los Chotgun in Saltillo. Los Chotgun, Say Ocean. And that's it. Las Cosas Calladitas is the other one that's my sole project, but it's, like just something I do because I can do it.
This is jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, man. I see you guys are working on new music. I'm excited for that. I really like your band.
They don't know that yet. We're not working on new music.
Oh, we're not working. Oh, yeah, exactly.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Tour Stories podcast. This is a pretty interesting one because this is our first guest who has been out of the U.S. So thanks to him for joining in with us. And Josh, where can they find our podcast?
Find it at Tour Stories
Pod
on Instagram and Sink In Band on Instagram as well.
Yep. And as always, like, subscribe to everything, share this podcast with your friends, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.